Captain's Log Supplemental.
Hey Jeremy, you know those race cars you're busy building?
Yeah, I do. I
You,
got one that I'm looking at every day.
you know what I don't see you working on?
You don't see me working on the amazing Sentinel system yet.
That's true. It would take all of 10 minutes for you to have one.
And it's very quick and easy to install.
It is. It is. And we could watch you when we are not at the race with you and see how you're doing. And then we can call you up when you get out of the car and tell you everything you did wrong.
And I love that because so many years I've been driving and not been able to see what I'm doing.
I know.
And now we can.
I know. You know what I'd like to do with the video? My most favorite thing is I take the video and I load it on YouTube and then I send it to my coach and say, look at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at this one lap and tell me what I can do better. And every single time, you know what they say?
Everything.
Exactly. Precisely. So with the Sentinel system, you get instantaneous feedback plus useful feedback that unfortunately is accurate for my driving.
I think it's accurate for all of our driving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. But you need to get one in your car, sir.
Yes, I do. And with the discount code that you're going to tell everybody, they can save 10% on this awesome system.
Yep. Trouble-free. I haven't had an issue getting video every time we've gone out with the Sentinel. It's always worked. Can't say the same for some of the other systems we've tried. So I don't know. It's on the podcast notes down there. Don't do it while you're driving, though. We like to have our listeners live. It's good.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
So it's also a busy time. So, we're kind of squeezing things in as we go.
After this year, we'll have squoze.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's a stupid joke. I got corrected by an old girlfriend that's past tense of squeeze is squoze. I'm like,
You had no girlfriend?
yeah, I had one. Just one.
Just
Was
one.
she old? Was she old or?
Was she old?
She is now.
How old?
Way old.
Yeah. Schools. Yeah.
And he squoze. I'm like, really? You think it's kind of, yeah. Anyway. There's lots of stories about her. She's a lunatic. Anyway. Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training podcast. Vicky, it's number 700. Oh, sorry.
Yes, it
Who else
is.
is hosting? Whoops.
Vicky.
I got too excited. Vicky is number 700. 700.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis has nothing on us.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I guess these jokes are falling as flat as
They kind of, oh, it's fine. Ha
There we go.
ha. There we go.
Reaction.
All right.
At least. So since it's a multiple of 50, for those keeping track at home with their shoes off, so they can keep track of 50s. You know who's here?
Yes, we do.
That's right. The preeminent guest, if you're going to have a podcast that's trying to get people started in racing or get them to be better at racing, our favorite honorary co-host, who I still owe a co-hosting hoodie, which is not in the mail, but we have it ready now, finally.
Ooh.
That's right. Mr.
Ooh.
Ross Bentley. Welcome back,
Ooh.
Ross.
Oh, great to be back again.
Mm-hmm.
I every time I do this, I kind of go, "What's wrong with you people?
No,
Why do you have me come back?" So,
The list of things that are wrong with us are very long, but does not include why Ross Bentley is on our podcast. That's that's a highlight. I don't know if you know it, but I listen to a lot of racing podcasts, and there is one that's begging to have you on their podcast, but DJ was too shy to ask you at one lap, and Tom keeps forgetting. So they would love to have you on their podcast. So
Which one is that?
the
Remind me.
Lizard Brain podcast.
Oh, I've seen that. I'm
Mm.
not sure I've actually
It's a
listened
good
to
one.
it. Is it?
You'd enjoy it. They're the DJ thinks of things one way and Tom Gorman thinks of things another way.
Yeah.
And they're both fantastic drivers, especially when compared to garage years in training, because we are in training. But
Mhm.
they do things very differently, but they both get them very fast. So
Mhm.
That would be fun, actually. Cool guys. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, they are. So
Yeah.
DJ was like, I felt like I couldn't ask. And I'm like, you just should have walked up to him. He's so nice. So, but
Yeah. I mean, I would have like smacked him and walked away.
yeah, I know
No,
you're
I
one of
wouldn't.
those
You're one of those.
those legendary impolite and nasty people from Canada.
Yep, that's me.
Uh,
Me. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, you hit somebody and say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
you know
right.
what? I forgot to tell you before we started recording. I have a impersonation. I want you to know who do you think this is? This is somebody famous in the racing industry. And I think you'll be able to tell because I've been working on this for this episode, special for number 700. You ready?
Okay, go.
It depends.
Okay, I'm going to say that is Sam Smith
It could be.
or
It could be.
or Jeff Brown.
It could be. If my Sam Smith impression was, please don't say the name of the podcast during the podcast. That would be my Sam Smith impersonation.
Right.
Yeah. So,
But it could be either one of them. It depends.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does depend. Yeah. Well, I'll keep working on it. Soon you'll figure it out someday.
Yeah.
I'll keep working on it. Apparently, it's not quite as clean as I thought it was, but all right, we'll figure it out.
It's
So, Mr. Bentley, you got to partake in the One Lap of America for the second time this year. Different car, different events, different co-driver. How'd it go?
it went extremely well. And it's one of those events that I don't know. You guys have done it once, have you?
We have signed up for it 3 times and
Mhm.
failed to get there 3 times.
Okay, well,
We are 0 for 3. That's not a very
well,
good percentage.
you should do it. It's one of those events. It's a little bit like doing a 24-hour race.
Hmm.
But at the end of it, you go, why did I do that? Like, that was miserable. Like, not the driving part. It is amazing. But going that long without sleep
Hmm.
at my age, it's
Mhm.
it's tough. And so, yeah, you get to the end of it and you go, would I ever do that again? And yet every time I do a 24-hour race, I kind of think a little bit like that. It's shortly, like a few days or a week later, you're going, well, if I did do it again, this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
And then like a couple weeks after that, it's, if we did this, and then a couple weeks after that, it's like, okay, we got to start planning this.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty much at the stage where I want to do it again. And the planning for what to drive, who to drive with, how to do it, like how to go and do it again, has begun. And I guess that's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I would say.
Mm.
So
it's a crazy event.
it is, and we're still dying to do it. And I think I might have a better chance now that Miss Vicky and I are going to have a little bit more spare time in May. Now that our daughter is going off to college and our son's about to graduate soon. I hope, please, I hope.
Right.
So Miss Vicky has a car that she likes to drive on a daily basis called an Integra Type S. I believe you drove something similar
Yes.
for the one lap.
I was in a Honda Civic Type R.
Mhm.
It was, we were supporting testing in a way the new BF Goodrich G-Force Phenom TA tire. And I gotta say, that is an impressive package, the car
Mhm.
and the tires. Like the first time I drove the car, I was like, wow, this thing's got some serious grunt. It's quick,
Mm-hmm.
got amazing brakes. It handles super well. It just feels really great all around. Of course, you show up at one lap and now you're surrounded by Corvettes and Porsches and BMWs and you go, this thing is pretty slow. So
Yeah.
no, but overall, it's got to be one of the best. I'm trying to think of another front wheel drive car that you can just buy in the showroom and go and play with.
Right.
that is that much fun. And I'm not sure I can think of one that I've had. I drove a few times. I drove a Renault Megane in Europe at the Nürburgring, which a car that's not available in North America. It was a hoot. It was just super fun to drive, and it was quick and everything. And I'm going to say this Type R is as good or better than that. So it's an impressive car.
We slash I chose, given that we live in Pennsylvania, to get the Integra Type S instead of the Type R because it's one click softer, and our roads are one click worse.
We learned that. There's a difference between the Type R and the Type S in the suspension modes and things. Actually, I think technically it's a half click.
Is it?
Yeah. Like I think it's something like the stiffest mode in the Type S is equal to in between the Sport and the Plus R.
Okay.
On the Type R. But yeah, it really is truly a hoot of a car to drive. And so also competing in one lap this year was the team from Honda in a Type S. Theirs had a lot of Honda Racing Corp, HRC. I guess it's Honda Racing Company, Honda Racing something with a C. Parts on it, some development parts and things. And so
they didn't share.
They were amazing. They shared a lot of information with us.
No parts.
But no parts. No.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. It was really fun. So the first time I did one lap, I did it with Mike Martin in his GT3, and it was an incredible car. Mike was amazing. It was just a really great experience to the point where I did want to go and do it again.
Top 10 finish for the always shy Mr. Bentley.
Yeah, we did pretty good, but I learned something. I'm not too smart, but I did learn something. I learned in that first time is preparation is super important. In fact, I would take a lesser car with more preparation than a faster car with no preparation. And
what type of preparation specifically?
Well, a little bit of testing with just making sure that you're running the right tire pressures, and just a little bit of knowledge about, hey, on the wet skid pad, would you disconnect an anti-roll bar or not? Little things like that. Just a little bit of that kind of preparation. Certainly, there are teams that run one lap that go to all the tracks beforehand and test and come away with a different setup for every track. That would be nice to do. I'm not sure that's kind of in my future, but this year because driving a car with this new BF Goodrich Phenom tire, and I was going to my co-driver is Ed Gliss, who was a test driver at Michelin / BFG for a little over 10 years, I think it is. And now he's moved into sort of product marketing and helping, kind of helping define what the new tires are going to look like and be and all that kind of stuff. So he was going to be my co-driver. We'd only met once, and that was 4 years ago at one lap. And I went, and this guy seems like a really cool guy. I'm going to have a lot of fun. I don't know. We were like a few miles. So I flew to South Carolina. I went to Greenville. I went to Lawrence Proving Ground, the Michelin facility, and got 16 laps around their test track in this Honda before we then started an 11-hour drive from Greenville up to South Bend to begin the whole thing. And I don't know, we probably got like 2 hours into our trip, and we kind of realized that Ed and I we think very, very, very much alike in many, many, many areas. And that became one of the highlights of this event was, again, much like when I did it with Mike a few years ago, was having that right co-driver who, well, we figured that we spent almost 72 hours together, and in a matter of 8 days or something. And never once did I want to hit Ed. I'm not sure about Ed. Ed might have wanted to hit me. I don't know, but we had a great time. But having that, even that 16 laps in that car just made it a whole lot better, because the first time I drove the car in anger was going to be at Worldwide Technology Raceway in at Gateway or St. Louis or whatever it is. And I had never driven that track. So to drive on a track that I'd never driven before in a car that I had never really driven before would have been not as good. Having those 16 laps made all 16 laps plus, I don't know, probably 5 hours of highway driving. Just made it a whole lot better. So that prep made a difference.
Right. And then
Wow.
I think one lap, much like a lot of racing, has developed a little bit towards performance keeps getting higher and cars keep getting better and cars keep
Yep.
getting better and faster. And
Yep. I'm going to say 4 years ago when I did it, yeah, we finished
I think it
eighth or
was
ninth. I can't remember exactly what it
7,
was.
I think, but I could be wrong.
I don't know, somewhere in the top 10
Okay.
Mhm.
in a GT3 RS. And I'm going to say, I think everybody in front of us had more horsepower.
Mm.
So when you're getting
Oh.
outpowered by cars, when you're driving a GT3 RS, that tells you how strong that feel was then. Now, I
Mhm.
should say there was a car, Super K, that Miata, that's just, or
It
Honda
is.
S2000 is an incredible car.
It is super.
It is super, but power to weight beat us there. And
Yeah.
but I'm going to say, like, it was maybe top 12 cars were like super high horsepower, really fast cars. And this year, it seemed like it was the top 20 to 25 cars.
Mhm.
So it's like the field's gotten deeper as well.
Yeah. I felt so terrible. I mean, Super K was doing so well and they can drive and that car is fantastic. And then it wasn't.
I don't know if there was any competitor that didn't want them to win,
I
except
can't.
maybe the one or two cars that were battling right with them. But even them probably felt bad about it because
Yeah. They were putting on a clinic.
yeah.
So what was the roughest part about the whole event for you?
Roughest event or roughest part. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm whining or anything like that, but when, let's see, Tuesday night. So you get there and there's stuff to do every night. So, you're getting your kind of usual 7 to 8 hour sleep leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to taper off. And by the time it gets to Tuesday, we had to, and I don't want to make this sound like I had to, but we got the opportunity to have a film crew stop us along the way and shoot some video.
Mm-hmm.
And that ate up another probably 2.5 hours out of our 8 hour transit to the next event. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
we were crossing from Central Time Zone to Eastern Time Zone. So we got to sleep at around 3 a.m.
Right.
and had to get up at 6 a.m.
Oh.
Or maybe it was 2:30 to maybe 6:30, somewhere in there. Like, it was in that 4 hour range that we got that night. And I think the night before we'd maybe gotten 6. And then the next night after that was 5. And the next one after that was 6. So
It's the sleep deprivation.
it kind of adds up. By the end of the week, you're like, a good night's sleep would be really nice right now. So
You could just look over in a field and go, man, I could just crawl in that nice grass
Yeah.
and just take a nap, put my feet up. Oh, look at that tree.
yeah.
I could just take a nap underneath that tree.
Oh yes. Yeah. I'm gonna have a nap right now, just you talking about it. So, and I will say, like, the Honda Type R, the seats are fantastic for driving on a track,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they're comfortable for driving on the highway many hours.
Mhm.
But the way we were packed and everything else, it's not like we could recline the seat and sleep in the car while going along. I know some competitors are really good at sleeping in cars. I've never been good at sleeping in the car. So it's so
Well,
that's about the only, and again, as I don't want to sound like I'm whining it whatsoever.
no,
Then
no,
you get to go and do all this fun stuff at the track. So
well, I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is that, when somebody does this type of event, there is definitely, the fun part, which is racing, but then there's the ordeal, which to get there, which is also part of it. And you kind of have to survive the whole thing
Yeah.
if you think about it as a whole package. So it's like, what does that package entail the whole time? You
And
know,
and we were lucky to not have any problems.
Right.
There were teams. I mean, one team I felt really bad for. I can't remember what their team name, but John and I can't remember the other his co-driver, but they basically bought a mini to run in this thing, and at the end of it, auction it off to raise funds for the American Brain Tumor Association.
Oh wow.
And on Monday night, Tuesday night, on the transit, I guess that
mm-hmm.
would have been Monday night to NCM, from Hedge Hollow to NCM, hit a deer
Oh
and did some
no.
pretty serious damage. Fortunately, didn't take out the motor, didn't take out the drivers or the windshield or anything, but did a lot
Mhm.
of damage to the left front corner. And it was really interesting the way the one lap community, everybody's on Discord, and everybody's like, hey, I know somebody that's like down the road from
Hmm.
you and somebody else. And, the next thing you know, they've got this car fixed and back at the track that afternoon at MCM.
No way.
And, and then the next day they had a cracked oil pan or something, and they drove it 300 miles and got the pan welded or something. Like there's that kind of stuff going on.
Hmm.
And, it's cool that everybody in that community chips in and helps out. But to get through without that kind of stuff. And I will say, Ed is an amazing driver. He's fast. And, he spent many, many years driving cars at the limit as part of the tire testing. He also races karts and does some endurance racing. And, so he's a fantastic driver. The highlight of his driving was when I think it was from Hedge Hollow to NCM on some highway at like midnight or close to it in the pitch black. All of a sudden, he hammers the brakes as I don't know. Ed thinks it was a wolf. Maybe it was a big coyote. We don't know what it was that ran across the road. It was not a deer, but it ran across. And as I looked, I went, we're hitting it. Like it's going to hit. And then all of a sudden, it was gone. So that was some spectacular driving. And so
Wow.
we came inches away from hitting something as well. So yeah, we were lucky. And that helps.
Were there any, and this is just a weird question, were there any caged cars that were on the road? Were people driving with a helmet, or was that just not a thing? Because I know
Not,
caged cars aren't technically allowed on the road.
yeah,
Depends on
not
the
that I'm
state.
aware of. I'm just trying to think. I don't remember seeing any, but
Oh
I
yeah,
could.
so they were just pretty much fancy, or not even fancy, just street cars. They're
Yeah,
like,
Well, Super K is
okay,
a time attack car.
all right.
yeah.
I'm
There's
sure it had at least
the
a roll
cool thing
bar.
about the event is the mix of cars.
Mm-hmm.
There's, a guy that was driving a BMW 2002, like a 73 or something. There was I don't know when that, maybe it was late 70s, early 80, not Porsche 911.
Mhm.
There's an old Rambler station wagon. There's a Chevy HHR that I always call her, those things. And, so there's a mix of cars and kind of every level, like we talked about at the pointy end of the field, there's some really serious cars and drivers. And but there are a lot of teams in cars that are, you know, they're nice
Just
track.
there for the fun.
They're there for the fun. I talked to a number of drivers who I think they were there for fun, but I think next year they'll come back and be just a little bit more competitive, a little more serious.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody, yeah, gets in and then gets a taste of it and then goes, I want more. Um, and there are people. I talked to one fellow that this was his 31st one lap of America.
No, he should get a trophy just for that.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's a really fun, interesting group of people, and you would have to be interesting to want to do this kind of a thing. So
So, what was your highlight?
Highlight, I'm gonna say VIR.
Okay.
Now I know VIR super well,
Uh-huh.
and but to just go out there and uh, VIR driving that car on those tires was you just that combination gave me tons of confidence, and it was just one of those things where you're like, because you come up to a standing start on the front straight, and then it's go, like no warm up. VIR, it's so long we didn't have time to even walk it in the morning. Not that again, I know the track well, but you just launch it. And that car, it would be kind of like just toss it into the corner and then deal with it. That's the way I was driving it. And as you're going up through the S's, it's like, okay, that's almost flat. How much curb can I use here and not bounce too far? And so that was huge fun. I'm going to say that was certainly a highlight. A highlight was, when one of the things, if you haven't done that event, you have to run the same set of tires all week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Going into it, everybody's kind of like, do we need to save a little tire here? And we found out really quickly we weren't going to need to save any tires. These new Phenom tires we were up against phenomenal. Yes.
Ah.
And yes, Ed and I had a little contest going. Who could say that the most times? And we first of all, that tire is a 380 tread wear tire, which we're up against 200 tread wear tires. And I've told the story many times since already. Is we're sitting here on the grid, kind of seated by how quick the car is, and we're surrounded by Porsches and Corvettes and Mustangs and Camaros and BMWs, and everyone's going, "Why are you guys so quick?" And it's just, I think a big part of it was the tires communicate so much back to you that you're just not afraid to do a Daniel Ricciardo, lick the stamp and send it. Like, just toss it into the corner and deal with it. And the difference between, our first 3 laps and our second 3 laps for both Ed and I were a couple of tenths.
Right.
And that kind of tells me that on a track that I'd never seen before and on a track that I knew super well, it's like a couple of tenths. That just tells me, like, we're up against the limit. There is no more. You can get out of the car and just go, we got everything out of these tires. We got everything out of this car. And we feel really good about that. So I'm going to say that was definitely a highlight.
Awesome.
And if you haven't noticed, I actually like driving a car at the limit.
I've heard.
Yeah, I wonder where that came from.
Yeah.
I mean, just who are we talking to?
So that was a highlight.
There were some speed secrets we could get out of this conversation.
So
I mean,
can I toss in another kind of weird, not quite highlight, but definitely not a low light?
You're the host, sir. You can do anything you want, just as long as it's not the car.
Okay, this one, well, a little bit of the car here, but we went and did a drag race.
Yeah.
And every year, one lap puts a drag race in,
and it gets rained out.
It gets rained out
every year.
This year, we went to Quaker City Motorsport Park, I guess, in Ohio, and we ran a drag race. And I don't think very many of us in this whole one lap thing had ever come up on the drag strip, looking at the tree, staging the whole bit, and then doing bracket racing and stuff like that. So that was fun. It in a very short kind of way. Little Honda did the quarter mile in about 14 seconds. I mean,
you're outgunned by like half the field, but
yeah, I mean, there are cars running in the 10s, many of them in the 11s, lots in the 12s. So yeah, let's see, on the wet skid pad, Ed was 12th overall, which tells you a lot about how good those tires are in the wet. So we just hope for rain all week long
and got none.
And then we typically we would finish somewhere in the 30th to 35th range. That's about how quick our car was out of 82 cars. In the drag race, we were 64th, I think.
Yeah.
So we were not the fastest in the straight line.
But you made up for it in the twisties.
Yes, yes, yeah. So it was fun. That was fun. Yeah.
Did anybody else have did anybody have issues with their tires towards the end? Like they're like, I don't know if I'm going to get on the track with this. I might not make it home.
You're not allowed.
No?
There was one car, I think, that got DQ'd because like in the last day or so, there was cords showing. And they're like,
Oof.
nope, can't carry on. There was another one that was borderline. There was a lot of discussion. And people were, pretty close. Let's just say if it had rained in the last day, we would have really kicked back because those non-tires are amazing in the wet, and everybody else would have been down to slicks. We would have done even better, but it's funny how the weather gods, sometimes they rain on you and sometimes they don't, and sometimes not when you want either one.
Yeah. It sounds like fun. So Mr. Bentley, Dr. Bentley, would you prescribe Miss Vicky to it is a good idea for her to take her Integra Type S on the one lap of America, perhaps?
Yes, and if you need a co-driver, let me know.
Okay.
Oh.
Look at that. You got an upgrade, Miss Vicky. You're out of here. You don't have to put up with me.
I would highly recommend it. It's one of those events that, it has sort of been in the back of my mind for years. And it was kind of like, that'd be really cool to do. But for me to have found basically 2 weekends in May that I wasn't coaching somewhere had always been, well, it stopped me from ever even considering it. And so but it's one of those things that now when people go, should I do it? It's like, absolutely. I think everybody that's a car track driving geek, I think you need to do it. And yes, it's getting harder because I think they keep filling the thing up, but it's just such a cool event in so many different ways. And, if you're competitive and you've got a fast car and you want to go and win, it's a massive challenge. If you want to go and have fun and just experience, I'm going to say one of the highlights is we drove through 9 different states and we found a couple of roads that we didn't expect to be on that were like, woo, these are fun roads. So there's stuff like that. And I got to say, that evening, I guess it was when we were heading to pit race, going through West Virginia, some highway we were on was just spectacular. At sunset, beautiful, the mountains. And then we got off on this other side, 2-lane road. And it was like just fantastic. So there are so many reasons for doing it. And probably the main reason for doing it is it's an event filled with really cool, interesting, and some weird people.
So this is my last question, because we can move on to some other fun stuff. But what few cars were like favorites or things that stuck out or things that surprised you on the trip?
Well, yeah, Super K was a favorite from the beginning, although they did not do well on the wet skid pad. And
they made up for it later, though.
They made up for it, and it's a tricky thing. So for example, like Michelin had a Corvette, ZR1. I think I can never remember all the different Corvette models, but they had a Corvette in it. So in past years, they've run the Michelin Cup 2s, I guess. That's probably what it is. I'm not 100% sure. But any of the cars that sort of are going for the fastest dry lap times are on tires in that very first day on a wet skid pad. And, they might be like 60th.
Right.
And it's tough to make up all those points. Like the great thing about one lap is you kind of have to be good at everything. You don't have to be the best at everything, but you need to be good at everything. So this year, Andrew and Derek, their strategy was they ran on all season tires on the Corvette.
Wow.
And I forget where they were, but like mid-pack on the wet skid pad. So points wise, that was way better than finishing in 60th.
Right.
So, and then they finish in the top 10 at every other event, and they finished 7th or 8th overall or something like that. So a Corvette running on all season tires finished 7th or 8th overall.
Right.
And if it had rained one of those events, it probably would have, well, I think easily would have been in the top 5 and could have had a top 3 on all season tires, which I think is pretty darn impressive.
Okay.
So there's lots of different ways to approach it. And I don't know, that's fun. And then, like I said, I think the cool thing about one lap is you don't necessarily have to be great at one thing. And that's why, the guys that won were in a Porsche Turbo, I think it was. I don't know. I don't even remember what models they were, but it wasn't the fastest everywhere, but consistently finished top 5 or something like that, probably in every event. The Tesla that runs, that
we've had them.
Those
good guys.
Those guys are amazing in what they do. And I know it's not easy. I spent a little bit of time talking to one of the guys that was in the electric Charger, Dodge Charger. And what was it? I think he told me something like they'd gotten 6 hours sleep over 4 nights or something. Because they're having to, I guess the Dodge Charger, the electrical charger, the battery charger isn't a Tesla charger. So it was harder for them to find charging stations. So, but the funny thing is sometimes we'd be sort of in line next to it or behind it or around it or something like that. And you hear this thing rumbling away because they put the sound of a big V8 in this electric car. So it's weird. We competed pretty closely with some guys in a BMW M235 who were just driving the wheels off that thing. And yeah, so there's such a cool mix of cars.
You know what I think you should do, Ross?
I don't know. Maybe I didn't answer your question, but
you did. But there's a car that came to mind that I think you should perhaps consider for one lap.
And that would be?
What if it was a shiny red Lotus Elan?
It would be really fun.
It would.
To go and do it in
someone else's shiny red Lotus Elan.
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah. But something like that. In fact, Sam Smith and I have talked a little bit about that. He's
coming up. He'll do it. I mean, he'll do it.
Yeah.
Internal Bush.
Yeah. It'd be fun to go and do it in something like that. And, I spent a little time with talking to the guy with the BMW 2002, partially because Sam starts talking about the guy that helped him prep it in your area of the world. And then I turned around and there he is standing there. So we spent a bunch of time talking. So it's cool to see people doing it for the adventure part of it. And maybe that goes back a little bit to that, the whole origin of this thing is the Cannonball Run that Brock Yates Sr. started way back in I guess that was the 70s, right?
Pre-movie.
Yeah. And the whole thing about there were people that went out to win it, and there were people that just wanted the adventure of driving across the country as quick as they could. And I think there's still some of that same kind of feel that people have to go and do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's quite an event.
Yeah.
I know another event that's coming up though, Mr. Bentley. Right near us.
Yes.
Just a little north.
So Pineview Run. How far are you from Pineview Run?
1 hour and 40 minutes.
Wow, is that all? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like we were members there.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. So I went there 2 years ago. I was up there to do a talk for a Porsche club up in Rochester, and Mario Korf dragged me over to look at it, and I saw where they were going to add on more track and things. And then so we've sort of, between Mario and Todd, I guess he's the owner or one of the owners or whatever that basically runs and owns the place. We've been talking about trying to do something there. And when I saw the facility, I went, it would be really cool to do a program where, most driver training programs are, hey, go on the track and drive around and around and around and around and around and work at getting better. And one of the things that is,
just do better.
Yeah, just do better.
Yeah.
Don't suck so bad, right?
Go faster.
Yeah.
Less time.
And, what has worked for me as a coach is breaking the act of driving down into little chunks and practicing that and working on that in sort of drills. And I always use the analogy of football teams. That's how football teams practice, right? They don't play a whole game at a practice. They do blocking drills and kicking drills and whatever else, right? And so I looked at Pineview and was going, it'd be really cool to do something very different there. And we're going to do that. We're going to do a 2-day program on, July 23, 24, and then a 3-day on 25, 26, 27. And, going to limit to a group of, we're asking people to apply so that we can kind of go, that person is looking for something that maybe isn't perfect for what we're doing here.
Ross,
these people are looking
for, I mean, you're not being that subtle, man.
Am I not being that subtle?
Not that subtle.
So, for example, if somebody wants to, if what they want to work on more than anything else is wheel to wheel, back and forth racecraft, this is not the program for them.
Nope.
Now, they will develop some awareness and things like that will probably help, but this is not the program for that. Maybe we'll do that another time somewhere, right? But this program is around getting to the point where you can drive consistently faster. And I'm going to say with using up less of your brain to do that. There are times when you're like driving flat out and that your brain is like at its limit.
Yep.
If anything else comes along, you can't handle it. This is, worst case scenario, you turn the exact same lap time, but now you're doing it much easier. That's one of the things that will come out of this program. So yeah, really looking forward to doing this. It's going to be really fun. And my buddy Peter Krause is going to come because we're going to be using a lot of data. Mario and his brother Ian Corf are both going to be there. And we're going to have kind of a really cool team of coaches to work with everybody. And it's the format of it, the way sort of working on different drills and things like that. It's going to be really fun to do. And because I've done pieces of this in other kinds of training and coaching, I know it's going to work.
We have no doubt.
Yeah.
You know how much we have no doubt?
You going to join us?
My beautiful bride will be there.
Ooh,
I will be there as well.
We have to check the date.
I've already checked.
Okay, make sure nothing's there. So busy. But yes, I would like to bring that little thing up there.
Oh, I've been admiring that. That looks so clean and nice.
Yes. I'm looking forward. It needs some race stickers.
I don't know, like in a way, yes. In another way, I like that. It just looks so clean and tidy and yeah.
It's
okay.
Lightly used, but yes, I think that car right there is perfect for that track.
Yes. Yep.
It's got a lot of tight turns on it.
Yeah.
Lots of tight turns.
So all the things that we've talked about in the past, pretty much we're going to jam into whatever 2 or 3 days. So we're going to work on flowing some speed. We're going to work on some braking stuff. We're going to work on some vision stuff. We're going to work on how to read a corner and figure out when should you turn in a little earlier, when should you turn in a little later, when should you apex sooner, when should you work on rotating the car, when you shouldn't, like all of those kinds of things. It's like, and I probably shared this here before. My buddy in the UK, I think you've had Samir a bit on your show, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Samir says you learn more from experimenting than you do from experience. And yet experimenting on a racetrack, it's not the safest thing to do. So think about this as you're going to do a lot of experimenting and learning from that experimentation with
Mhm.
adult supervision in a place that is about as safe as you can. I mean, every racetrack says, "Hey, we're safe." Well, some are safer than others. So,
Yeah, this is true.
yeah.
Yeah, I always say you never see the walls until you hit them. It's true.
Well,
Never, well, at least when you're starting out, you never really notice.
yeah.
You're just busy racing the track. You're like, oh crap, there's walls.
I
So
wonder how many people though drive around. Like it's like really good autocrossers. I don't think they see the cones. And yet
maybe.
I think a lot of autocrossers or people that do autocross, they think I got to get around that cone. I got to get around that cone. And that's a difference. That's a different kind of a thing.
What is it with the autocross that is the really, really tight autocross when they're flipping the little cars around and they're backing them up and then they're doing it backwards and then what is that?
I think that's referred to as Gymkhana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It so I know if you say autocross or Gymkhana or slalom in North America versus in Europe, you get kind of slightly different versions. So,
Yeah, I have never, I saw this like on a YouTube video and I'm like, what is that? 'Cause that's skill.
so speaking of YouTube videos and skill, you must have watched the Dutch reverse races, have you not?
No.
Oh, there you go. Anybody listen, go on YouTube and look up Dutch reverse races, and they get all these
Write
weird
it
old,
down.
I don't know what they are, but these really weird little cars, and they're, I don't know, and they drive them in backwards, and they're like really skinny, tall cars that, when you start going backwards and you get a little of that wobble, and then they
Mm-hmm.
turn sideways and they flip over, and it's got to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. So,
Yeah, I'm making a note of this.
yeah.
And I'm making a note of Gymkhana too, because that's some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It,
I can guarantee you at the Pine View program, we are not going to do any reverse races
or Gymkhana.
or Gymkhana. We could do like a time trial thing though.
Maybe,
And we
maybe.
might have some simulators there, and we're gonna have data, and yeah, 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 all sorts of fun stuff. So,
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's awesome.
and that's
I
a
love that.
pretty cool area of the country at that time of year.
Yeah. What time of year are you headed out? I mean, what time of year is it?
July, third week of July. Third,
Third week of July.
yeah, I can get a little sweaty, but
Right.
I would much rather be there in July than in February.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. If
anyway,
that's in snow, that's not so bad, Ross.
well, I
I
guess it
can do some
depends
ice
on
racing.
depends on what I had to play in. So yeah,
Yeah, true.
yeah.
Haven't done ice racing yet. Still want to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, got to do ice racing. I've told you about my ice racing experience, haven't I? Have I not?
No, you haven't told us. We talked about it,
No.
but you never told us about yours.
So years ago, in fact, it was the first year or the second year that I raced IndyCar. Um, I got an invite to go to up into the interior of British Columbia on a
Mm-hmm.
frozen lake and do some ice racing. And they had a series at that time called Vets on Ice. But
Okay.
they were not Corvettes, they were Chevettes.
Oh.
It's almost the same, Ross.
They were almost the same,
So close. They're both
made
Chevy.
by Chevrolet,
Exactly.
and
With
they
four wheels.
four wheels. So they'd have like 40 of these Chevettes that were kind of stock, rubber to ice, so no studded tires. And you went out there, and it was the most bizarre thing. The very first time, you come down this little straightaway on this, they basically plow the snow out of the way on the ice, right? Build the track. You come down this straightaway, and you would turn in for a corner like 200 feet before the corner. You'd turn the wheel, pitch the thing sideways, and just slide for 200 feet. And then it would turn. It was just the most bizarre thing I've done. I would like to go back and do some serious ice racing with studded tires and that kind of stuff. So anyways, I know, tangent there. Got off on a tangent, but
So I can keep your ice racing tangent going. So Andy Smedegard from ASCM, who was in the Super K,
yeah.
they're up in Wisconsin, and
Yeah.
I found out a few years back that the weather hasn't cooperated since I found out. What they'll do is they'll plow like a scaled version of Gingerman or a scaled version of Pick the Track on the lake, and then they'll do their ice racing up there, studded or non-studded. There's two classes. I need to go really bad.
Yes. Yeah. Uh, like any part of motorsport, there is one downside,
Mm-hmm.
and the downside is between races, you're standing on ice.
Yeah.
And have warm shoes and boots and
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
clothes.
thinking, everybody's bringing the tire warmers to one lap. We'll bring the tire warmers, but we'll just lay them flat on the ice and we'll just stand there.
until you're no longer on the ice.
It's Wisconsin. There's lots of ice. we got a few inches before we even start to sag.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it'd be fine.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Need to do that again.
Yeah. We need to do it the first time, and then we can say we did it again. Although Miss Vicky has driven a ice racing boat.
An ice racing boat. How does that work?
Ice boat. It was an ice boat. So, so when we were in Connecticut, I'm sorry. So when we were in Connecticut, out there they looked like almost like canoes with like an outrigger on it, and they had sails on them with blades.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah.
And they would just be all over the lake. And then there was one that had two sails on it.
Because
it was
if one's
bigger.
good.
It was this one actually looked like a ship almost.
More is better.
Yeah, but so he was, I think, the driver was in the main part of the boat, the canoe, and I was in the outrigger part. And we were just shooting across the lake. It was awesome. And it's all great until like the wind stops. And then you're just, but when we were out there too, it's like the people out there, I mean, it was an event almost to them. It was like a lifestyle because they didn't really have mountains around them. So they took advantage of the frozen lakes, and they had the ice fishing stuff, but they had scooters with blades on them. And scooters with blades. And then you would have like your shoes would have like what do they call them? Yaks. They had spikes on them, and you would just push off and you would scoot across on these things. It was pretty crazy.
Like a dog sled.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that it just kind of proves no matter what you have and where you are, you'll find some way to race it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. Those things can truck too. Man, they got fast.
Yeah. Huh.
If it ever freezes again.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, if you enjoy the outdoors, you'll find a way to really enjoy the outdoors wherever you're at.
Yeah. I mean, people race lawnmowers, right?
They do.
Bar stools.
Right? I mean, that's cool stuff.
Yeah. Did you see, and maybe I don't know when this show's going to air.
Soon.
But did you see what's racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Friday?
No.
We're talking just before Memorial Day weekend, right? And
yes,
on the Friday before the Indy 500, 6 of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles.
No way!
Going to have a 2-lap race around the speedway. I think that is the most brilliant thing in the world.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. So.
Oh my gosh!
Did you ever see the picture of the Wienermobile going down the corkscrew at Laguna Seca?
Yes. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. And probably pretty good marketing for a wiener company.
I would think, yeah. A friend of mine applied right out of school to be a Wienermobile driver.
Yeah. During the one lap, we were driving along the highway and we're going, hey, the Wienermobile. And it drove past us the other direction.
Oh, man. I should have taken him to the
exciting.
skid pad.
Yeah.
I want to see the Wienermobile go around the skid pad. Wet or dry, I don't care. It's fine.
That'd be cool. Yeah. But 6 of them around the speedway. I wonder what the drafting will be like.
It's going to be a big hole. Big
right?
Hole. I'm thinking it's not aerodynamically efficient and probably has a little lift in the front. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
We could talk to Mario about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He'll run the specs and see what it should be. Watch the fun. The window should be able to run that. Anyway, so limited event, Pine View Run. Miss Vicky will be there and participating. I will be there. I don't know if I'm participating. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
It'd be great if we can get 2 cars there. You can take the Beamer up.
You can get as many cars there as you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
More the merrier. Yeah.
Ross wants us to come because he knows we pack popsicles. And
there is that
July.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah.
We'd need a trailer.
Peter's had popsicles there.
Yeah. Popsicles.
Yeah.
We can get a little RV.
Or a hotel.
Or a hotel, yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
Yep.
We'll get there. Not sure Todd would be thrilled with us having an RV there overnight, but we'll see. Actually, there's some places to stay there.
I saw the registration form yesterday, and he's got like a little thing, tick the box for campsite or camping or
he does. Okay.
Hookup or something like that. So yeah,
it's a great like it's going to be the middle of summer, so this doesn't apply, but in the fall it's a great drive over there when the leaves are changing. It's fantastic.
I'm trying to think, because I was there, I'm trying to remember when I was early in the year, but it was the scenery around there was just beautiful. So
good apples if you like apples.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. All the more reason to come to Pine View to do.
I'm not quite sure apple season is August, but it's closer.
Yeah. 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 I'm super pumped to do this. This is kind of one of those programs that's been forming in my head for many years. And I got to say, we've had people from all over the country apply and want to come, like people from California and from Washington, from Florida, so it's going to be cool.
I think it'll be great. You get it's not often you get Mr. Krause to leave the state of Virginia.
Yeah. Well, there is that too. Yeah.
Mary will be helping out. I may offer my services, or I may be a student. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll
talk.
Let's figure that
out.
Yeah.
Plenty to try. Well, first we have to see if Miss Vicky's going to be allowed. She's one of the troublemakers, Ross. I'm just saying.
Right. I'm looking at my schedule now. That's what I was doing, trying to figure out if I have an opening. Love it.
You're going to have an opening. How about that?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. Right now, I think I do.
Good.
I made sure you did.
Yes.
You've already been applied. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Surprise.
Yeah. So. No, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yep.
I do.
Yes. This is my thank you for you doing what you had to do beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So tough luck.
Yeah.
Tough luck. You're going to go have fun.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Mr. Bentley, One Lap of America, Pine View. It's almost like you should have an event in Europe for our European listeners.
Well, okay. As usual, we'll be taking a group of 25 drivers to the Nürburgring. This year, it's going to be the first week of September. And
wow, first week in September. First week in September.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
September. Miss Vicky's not getting it yet. She'll listen to me.
No, I'm listening.
Say what week it is.
The first week in September.
First week in September. How about that, Miss Vicky?
First week in September. I wonder what's going on right about there. I think there's a birthday bill.
Maybe. I mean,
a birthday bill or a bill birthday?
Both.
Same. Yeah. I don't know that we can pull it off birthday bill weekend first year daughter goes to college, but
I think that's rough. Daughter got accepted to UVM, Vermont.
University of Vermont, not the
she needs to understand priorities.
Right. I know.
Listen, kiddo, you're out of the house. You're dead to me.
Yeah.
I just pay the big bill. That's all.
Yeah. No, I take a group over to the Nürburgring and usually to Spa every single year. This year we couldn't work out the dates to work out perfectly for Spa this year. So,
So yeah, this is shaping up to be not a bad year.
No?
I did a lucky dog race at Sonoma back in February. I might do a couple of champ car
Did you
races
enjoy
at
that
some
Lucky Dog?
point.
Because I don't think you've done that before, right?
What's that?
Have you done Lucky Dog before?
Yeah, I've done a couple of lucky dog races.
Kathy's fantastic.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, I love Kathy.
So I did one at Thunder Hill, and then I did one at Sonoma a couple of years ago, and then another one in February. And so I'm gonna so gonna have some fun with one lap, and then the Pine View program, and then that little German track.
Little German track.
The little German track.
Little 13-mile track.
Yeah. And then who knows what else? Yeah.
It's good to see you behind the wheel every now and then.
It's good to be seen behind the wheel every now and then, because I'm with my coaching. I'm now doing a bulk of it remotely. Certainly, the driver that I coach in IMSA in an LMP2 car, I coach remotely, and so on one hand, it makes it so I don't have to travel so much, which is something I'm happy about. But it's not like I can go, well, hey, there's an IMSA weekend on that weekend. I don't have to be at the track. I still have to be here in front of all my monitors and available all day long. So I'm still coaching those weekends, which makes it so that I can't go and do something else. But at least I didn't have to get on an airplane.
There is that.
There's a lot of airplane rides with you, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was talking about this with a friend in the past few days, and we're talking about how I think it was 2018 or 2019. I tracked hotel nights, and it was 234 nights in a hotel room.
Oh,
and it was 50 something trips.
Oh, I was just wondering if you couldn't pay the bill and you had to stay there until you got the money.
Yeah, well, there was that too. Yeah,
I got confused.
Yeah,
I'm easily confused. We know that.
The person that puts out the little breakfast stuff in the morning. That was my job for a while.
Nah.
Oh,
You can work it off. It's fine. They'll make a deal with you.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bentley, someday you're going to be in a weakened state where your mental acuity is not quite sharp, and you will take us up on our offer to race with us. Someday it's going to happen. We have 300 more episodes to get this done. We're gonna make this happen, sir. It's gonna work.
Well, okay. So 2 thoughts there. One is, please keep asking.
We do,
because the stars are going to align and our calendars are going to align.
I'm not believing it till I see it. I am bringing popsicles. I am bringing anything you want. You can even name a dinner, and we will make it happen.
Ooh.
And our dinners are pretty spectacular, I must say.
Yeah.
Much better than our racing.
Hot dogs, Oscar Mayer wieners.
If that's what you want.
We
usually do better than that, but we can do that.
Right. You just said 300. Like, are you guys just really thinking that you're going to get to 1,000 and just go, that's it, we're done?
No, I have no idea. I said we were going to get to 1,000.
Okay.
And there has been times where I'm sitting there saying, why did I say that? But
see, that's what some people towards the end of one lap think as well.
I
see. Yeah. But most of them are all like, how do we do this again next year? So,
pretty
anyways.
Much. Yeah. Pretty much. It's fine. Yeah. We'll get you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping to be able to have a little bit more flexibility with my schedule in the next while.
We actually have a couple cars that we can endurance race that are reasonable, not like the usual piles of junk that we usually have. We have some decent cars now. We can get you like it's a spec E46 plus. That's not terrible.
That's a fun car
compared to what we usually drive. Miss Vicky's car, but that's not an endurance car. She doesn't want to see that on endurance race.
So when is your next endurance race?
I think it is the week this comes out, or the week after, or the week before. I haven't done the math. I should bust out an Excel spreadsheet and figure it out, but I haven't. We're going to be doing a lemons race at the beginning of June, and then we're going to be doing Lucky Dog Lemons race at NJMP, and then we're doing the Lucky Dog race at the end of June for our first time ever visit to VIR. And then we have an all ladies event at Thompson in August. And then I think we wrap up our season hopefully at Summit Point in October. And then we've got HPDEs that we still have to figure out when we're going.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about VIR before you go there.
Oh, well, to our faithful listeners, if you have access to the Garage Heroes and Training OnlyFans page, we can post this, but since there is no Garage Heroes and Training OnlyFans page, we'll talk after we hang up.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Mr. Bentley, thank you for sharing number 700. We will talk to you again. Well, we talk to you a lot. We'll record you again in 50 more episodes.
Absolutely.
I always look forward to it. Fun.
And if accepted, we'll see you at Pineview.
Hopefully we will see you in July.
Next time.
Pineview. Yeah.
And we will be broadcasting at least one podcast in there because, I got to get to 1,000 somehow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. You never know. We might be doing play-by-play.
Let's do that.
We can do that.
All right.
We can have you and Peter. And
Yeah.
Mario. And whoever else.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Ross. We
Thank you
appreciate
once
it.
again. And keep having fun, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir. We'll
Keep
bother you again.
racing.
Yeah.
You're off the hook for another few months.
Bye.
Bye.